all of that training in the course of perpetration of these crimes. He was arrested in 2024. He was convicted last Friday evening. At the conclusion of a 2-week trial, the jury was out about 3 hours, of 6 counts of second-degree rape and 2 counts of fourth-degree sex offense. The trial, again, lasted 2 weeks. The verdict was in within about 3 hours. The victims in this case were 3 young women. The youngest was 18. The other 2 were in their early 20s. The sentencing in this matter is set for October the 14th, 2025. The defendant faces a maximum sentence of 122 years. He will be sentenced by Judge Cheryl McCauley. Judge McCauley is in fact the judge who presided over the trial in which Mr. Valdivia was convicted. The prosecution in this case was handled by 2 fabulous women who work in the State Attorney's Office, Sheila Begary and Rachel Morris. They could not have done a finer job. There was a common scheme in all of these cases. He specifically, under false pretenses, directing them to come and visit him at after-hours places, where he offered alternatively helping them with potential modeling careers that they envisioned they might have ahead of them, or a free tattoo. In the course of this scam against this series of women, he adopted many aliases. There was El Boogie, who was the photographer that could take modeling pictures for them. There was Dr. Tiffany Kim, who the young women never met, but was told and only communicated through the internet, that she was a psychologist that could help them, and if they had any questions about what was happening in the course of their contact with the defendant. When he was a tattoo artist, he was Lalo Brown. On his lease agreement, and he actually, by the way, this particular activity took place in 3 different locations. There was a location in Potomac off of Trevilla. There was a second location in an office building in Gaithersburg near the Rio. And then there was a hotel where some of the sexual assaults against these young women took place, was also in Rio. The first of these assaults began in October of 22. They continued through June and September of 24. The defendant was not a stranger to us. The defendant had been acquitted of attempted first-degree murder in an unrelated event on a metro train after the first rape, but before the second 2. He selected systematically vulnerable, unsophisticated young girls that were caught up in the lure of getting their first tattoo for free, or the potentials of a modeling career. Trained in covert surveillance and the ability to deceive and take on multiple personalities, these were tools he used against all of these young women. We are very, very pleased with the verdict of the jury. Very thankful to the men and women of the police department that put this case together. And it's sad that these 3 young women were violated in the way that they were. And we will be seeking the maximum penalty allowable by law. This is one of the most dastardly, evil, schemed crimes I've seen in 40 years. This is a married man, has 3 children, all girls. I'm just very grateful to the trial judge who gave us a great trial, and the men and women who performed an extraordinarily tough function. It's hard to be a juror. I'm very grateful for the verdicts that they've returned. If anybody has any questions.
State's Attorney, I know there was also an aspect of the blackmailing of these victims, which also talks about how brave they are to,
Right.
Come forward despite these threats that were made. Can you talk about
Well, what happened is, at some point in time, in the course of this, look, there were different tactics with different girls. But if you were interested in modeling, he would have you sign a modeling contract. And there would be situations where if you breached the contract, you would owe money back for breaching the contract. So the girls did, again, you're talking about naive, young girls who did not necessarily always fully understand what was actually happening to them, how they were being manipulated. This was all about sex. During the course of the trial, it's very clear, every single thing he did, and he admitted this under cross-examination, was to have sex with these girls. He would say or do whatever he wanted. And so with the modeling contracts, which by the way were completely fake, all the documentation was shown to these girls, the business cards, everything was fake. He was doing this, and again, he just used his skills that he had honed over nearly 15 years with the FBI to allow him to manipulate, for the purposes of sex, these three young victims.
I don't know, this could be for both of you, but have you spoken to any of the victims after the verdict, and could you give a sense of their reactions?
Yeah, may I say, each of the victims, Sheila and Rachel, who were the lead prosecutors in the case, immediately called the three victims that night. They were late. Look, it takes a lot of bravery to do what these young women did, particularly against a person who they come to learn is an FBI agent. That's pretty daunting. And they're young. And I think they were thrilled with what happened. And we just salute them for their bravery and willingness to do this, because this was an ongoing activity.
Do you have a message for young people or anyone who might be meeting up with someone online from social media, either getting a tattoo or modeling opportunities?
Be wary. Be on your guard. There are people, look, the idea that you have the rogue photographer who takes pictures of young girls that he's going to make them famous. We've seen those cases before. They are ongoing. These kinds of violent sexual offenses, like as we had in this case, he knew who he was targeting. He wasn't going after 40, 50-year-old women. He was looking for these were young girls, unsophisticated. His youngest victim was a senior in high school who didn't have a tattoo but thought, as a lot of young people do today, think it's great to have a tattoo, and this guy was offering a free tattoo. You're 18 years old, you want to get a tattoo, somebody's going to give it to you for free. She's a senior in high school. You got to be careful. You say that as a dad, you say that as a grandparent, you say that as state's attorney. You got to be careful. Okay.